Malaysia's property sector being revitalized by the ringgit strengthening and significant infrastructure projects. In what ways are these economic shifts driving growth across different segments of the real estate market, from residential to industrial properties? These and more in just a moment. I'm Zahir Calvin Abdullah, and this is Money Matters. Welcome to your favorite channel, TV3, where you can also stream on Tonton. Today we have Malaysia Institute of Estate Agents, MIEA President, Tan Kian Aun, with me right here in the studios. Welcome to the program, Mr. Tan.
Thank you, Kevin. Thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure.
Yeah.
Can I start off by asking you about this Knight Frank report, which basically highlights, which I have to refer to over here, a 19.2% increase in residential transactions and a 19.3% rise in values in the first half of 2024. So what are the core economic and market factors driving this surge? And the second part of the question would be, how do you assess the sustainability of this growth amid current economic uncertainties?
Yeah, Kevin, I think from the report that we have seen is very encouraging to see that that transaction has actually gone up, and it is telling us that the take-up rate for the properties is increasing, and we are very fortunate to see that being in Malaysia, there are still people can afford a home, people have jobs, having income to buy a property. Now, what are the factors that actually contribute to this? There are a few factors that we see. Number one is the location, right? If we break down this figure, are these happening in the urban area or the big cities or the smaller suburban area? And we look at what are the facilities, what are the amenities that building have, and what kind of age of the building, and whether these properties are there in the secondary or in the primary market. So if you look at it as an overall, people who are buying the property, we see good indication that property ownership has increased, and people are still able to borrow some money, they are still able to invest in property. So to me, it's a good indication that despite all the uncertainties, our economy, our purchasing power in the country is still in a good shape. Yeah.
But looking at how things have developed before and after COVID, so do you think the attraction on foreign buyers into real estate has changed?
Yeah, definitely, Kevin, because as we know, during COVID, there are a lot of restrictions that happen. And when the economy or the borders has opened up, the confidence of the foreigners has also slowly coming back. And they are coming back not only in this region, but a lot of in Malaysia. And we see a lot of interest from other countries coming into Malaysia, despite of all these uncertainties, and which is a good indication that Malaysia is still one of the country that is still generate interest from these people.
So why do you think Malaysia generates interest for these people?
I think few things is if we look at the region itself, Malaysia is still what you call a very stable country in this region. If we talk in terms of the currency, yeah, I know we have gone through some currencies issues, but despite all these things, not only currency actually have play a factor. Things like infrastructure, the culture of the country, the stability, economic stability, political stability, the people in the country, the infrastructure, the facilities that we have in Malaysia. Actually, if you look at compared to our neighboring country, if you look at the totality, we are still a very attractive country. in terms of a balance requirement from all these foreigners, investors coming in to Malaysia. So there's something we are blessed that we have, and we should actually maximize and take advantage of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you mentioned infrastructure, because I wanted to touch on the major infrastructure developments, such as the Johor Bahru Singapore Rapid Transit System link. How do you think this is expected to influence the property market dynamics and investment strategies in both the short and long term?
Yeah, as we know, last year the government mentioned in the budget, I think quite a lot was being allocated to infrastructure. Right? Like what you said, the RTS in Singapore is one of the key things in our southern region. Now, what are the things that is going to benefit in long term and short term? The first thing is why this RTS exists is because we see there's an overflow from Singapore. As we know, our neighboring country, Singapore, the land is scarce, labor is also scarce. You know, their population is limited. Prices of property is also very unaffordable. Not even to the foreign, even for their local Singaporeans. So there are some overflow that come into our country, and due to the favourable of ringgit to them, due to the access to the labour, whereby a lot of our Johorians will also work in Singapore, and of course in terms of our forex, and I think one of the key things is our My Malaysia MM2H. That can generate some interest from the Singaporeans. So in terms of short term, it also help our commercial retail, where people are moving to Johor to buy things like that. So that are those short term things. So of course, in long term, supply of labor to them, supply of land to them, even water or electricity, we are supplying this to Singapore, which they need to generate the economy of their country. So I think in terms of long term, that could be very beneficial to us.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, moving on to current trends which are influencing office space demand and rental rates in Kuala Lumpur and Selangor. How might these trends be reflective of broader shifts in the corporate real estate sector?
Yeah, I think one of the key attraction especially in the urban area, our Klang Valley, is our corporate office space. Now, few things that actually attract foreign companies, or even not only foreign, even local companies to be here is, number one, if you compare in the region, our rental is still one of the most affordable. Number two, the infrastructure. If you talk about Kuala Lumpur, our infrastructure is fantastic. We have connectivity not only in terms of railroad or transportation, even airplane space, our port, there are a lot of connectivity into there. And most of our in Peninsula is all connected. Then the quality of our office space, right, especially the grade A buildings, is personally, I think, is comparable to a lot of world-class buildings, right? We have our iconic buildings, our KLCC, our TRX, and our latest Merdeka 118, and these are all top-class buildings, and at an affordable rate. Now, the other thing is the labor supply, right? A lot of companies, foreign companies, they set up office in Malaysia, and we have the talent here, and our labor is very it's cheaper compared to a lot of countries. And we can speak multiple language. And because the rental is also affordable, so companies that want to set up office in this region, they like to come to KL because KL can serve the Southeast Asia region. So they can operate an office in KL, but they still have people from Singapore, Philippines, Thailand, coming to live in Malaysia, so they can tap into the talent, not only Malaysian talent, they can tap into Singapore, Philippines, Thailand, India, and they can bring them here because it's cheaper to have an office in Kuala Lumpur.
So it sort of becomes like a hub, so to speak.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
Mr. Tan, just hold that thought.
Yep.
We've just got to go for a very quick commercial break. We're talking to the president of the Malaysia Institute of Estate Agents, MIEA. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're talking to Malaysia Institute of Estate Agents, MIEA President, Kian Aun. Now, Mr. Tan, you mentioned just now about world-class office spaces that we have in Malaysia. You talked about TRX, you've talked about the KLCC 118. But a lot of people have also said that we have an office glut where this is concerned. Do you agree?
To a certain extent, yes and no. First of all, if we want to attract foreigners into the country, number one, should we build first to attract them, or we attract them only then we build, right? So what is happening is we have office space. We have built quite a lot of supply of office space. Now, the thing is, how are we going to attract people to fill up this office space? Of course, that falls on the responsibility of the building owners. Now, whether they can get those tenants from the older buildings moving into the new buildings, or they can attract the regional companies to move into Malaysia. So we have to find ways to make it attractive for them to come into Malaysia. So either we can work with the government to get some incentive or subsidy or whatever to attract foreigners. Those days when MDEC, they have the MSC status buildings to give them some tax levy or exemption or things like that to encourage them to come. So if you ask me personally, we have a lot of potential. So if we say that we have a lot of office space, probably at this moment, yes. But if we can attract a lot of foreigners, then we have the supply ready to fill up them, rather than having them interested and we said we don't have enough space. So that's how I look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
So how are retailers adapting their strategies to manage inflationary pressures and rising operational costs? And what are the implications for future retail space requirements?
Retail space, interesting. Let's talk about Malaysia. There's a Malaysian. We are the culture. We are people who like to go to shopping malls. And I really like it. We spend a lot of time in shopping malls. Shopping malls, right? Let's talk about retail. I talk about shopping malls. One of the biggest challenge in shopping mall is the foot traffic, right? Foot traffic, people going into the mall, and also the operation costs. Now, in Malaysia, the bigger malls, right? The first-class malls, they're doing very well, right? If you know, you look at those big malls, the traffic is still there, it's congested everywhere. So the bigger malls with the latest trend, with good tenants, the big tenants that can attract the foot traffic will continue to sustain and do well. And yes, they are competing with e-commerce, right? We know now there are a lot of online shopping happening. But if you have a tenant who are in the F&B, supermarkets, the luxury brands, I think people still prefer to shop physically for this kind of this sector of the industry, right? So if malls they can maintain good tenants, up to trend, good traffic, convenience, all these things, they will still continue to preserve. The malls that are not able to keep up to this, they're suffering. That a lot of malls they are going for refurbishment, they are closing down. So they either go for a concept mall, or they have no choice to upgrade, right? To upgrade. So yes, if you ask me, the retail space is still a huge potential, and because foreigners coming in, they need a place to, to shop. They need a place to walk around. So these are the attractions.
So you're saying that the suburban malls will be the ones that will be more affected because okay, and understood. So can we move on to the factors contributing to the heightened demand for high quality, sustainable industrial properties, and how is the stronger ringgit affecting rental yields and market stability?
Now, if you ask me personally, strengthening of ringgit is a very mild or minor factor, because in Malaysia's properties, from my observation, you don't see when the ringgit depreciate or appreciate, people will jump into the market, right? End of the day, it still go back to the fundamental, whether is it a good location, the condition of the property, the location of the property, things like that. So to me, the ringgit is not really a big factor in that. But if you talk about industrial properties, right, you just mentioned just now, I think one of the key driver in Malaysia market, if you look at what the Malaysia budget has, let's say, one of it is the industrial sector. When you talk about industrial sector, we can look into things like green technology. We talk about sustainable energy. We talk about hydropower, renewable energy. We talk about solar, data center. All these are high value, what they call industry. And it's good that the government recognize that this is a future. And because of this, we are able to generate a lot of interest from companies who are involved in this sector. Again, why they like to come to Malaysia is, first thing, our land is cheap, our rental is cheap, affordable. We have competent workforce. We have, at the moment, right, we have sufficient electricity supply. Our internet, right, is still stable and good internet speed. And like I said, infrastructure of Malaysia is fantastic, and there are a lot of compared to our neighboring, we are still in a very favorable situation in terms of holistic. Singapore is expensive. Thailand probably the culture, the labor, the community, the language is like there are some barriers there. If you go to Philippines, the political or the geographically is still unstable because of natural disasters. If you look at Malaysia as overall, is is there's a
Still
lot
quite-
of
still quite
potential.
favourable,
Yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot of potential that we have yet to actually maximize, if you ask me.
Mr. Tan, hold that thought. We've just got to go for a very final commercial break.
Yep.
We're talking to the President of Malaysia Institute of Estate Agents, MIEA. Thank you for staying with us on Money Matters. Now, Mr. Tan, what are the key differences in property market performances across Klang Valley, Johor and Pulau Pinang, and what do these regional disparities indicate for future development and investment opportunities?
Yeah, Kevin, I think the different state, as we know, the state government have their own different policies instead of the different state. Now, if you compare Klang Valley, Johor and Penang, yeah, these are the three key regions that we have in the Peninsula of Malaysia. Now, Penang, for example, they focus a lot on industrial, as you know, the semiconductor players are there, the E&E players are there, they talk about data center. So they focus a lot of prioritizing the industrial. And they also try to develop a lot of infrastructure. As we know, they are coming out with there's a plan to build their LRT, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's LRT. Yeah, in that sector. So their main attraction is more on this sector. And of course, tourism is also one of their key, economic factor in that region. If you compare to Johor, they are very reliant on the Singapore market because of the overflow. And of course, because Singapore market comes to Johor, indirectly the China investors are coming in. So they have a different priority, like the RTS, their Johor Forest City, their new development in terms of township, residential, is different. If you talk about Klang Valley is more like a financial hub. We talk about education sector. We talk about tourism infrastructure as well, and we talk about regional office setting up in Kuala Lumpur. So different region, they have a different thing. But if you talk in overall as a country, few things, tourism is still one of our key driver. We are looking a lot more in medical tourism as well. We see that a lot of medical centers are coming up to bring people from the region. We talk about education as well. If you know Malaysia, we have number of colleges and universities in this region. This will be some of the key drivers that will develop these three regions. And of course, to support all this, the infrastructure, the high-speed HSR, the highways, all these things, that will actually spur this region to grow. That's how I look at it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, looking at all this, what reason do you think regulatory changes are most significantly impacting the property market, especially in these three regions? And how are industry players adapting their strategies in response to these developments?
Now, I think the key thing is, number one is, there are few factors. Number one is the government ability to attract foreigners with their policy, right? How friendly are we in accepting foreign people into Malaysia? What is our tax structure, all this thing? And the other thing is, of course, our performance of our ringgit. The inflation of the country, whether our cost of living, the cost of material, cost of operation, is it going to sustain or is it going to increase? And the other thing is from the financial sector as well, our interest rate, cost of borrowing, access to loans, all these things, I think, I look at it, will indirectly impact the market moving forward, because if one of the key things is if the ringgit continue to perform, that is also an indication that shows that the confidence of the market is there in the region especially. And we know recently our ringgit is one of the strongest in the recent compared to the US dollar. It shows that our Malaysian economy is not very reliant on the US dollar. So it gives some confidence to the investor that, you know, what kind of market stability that we have in Malaysia.
Right. Yeah. So based on the current market data and trends, including the recent performance of the ringgit, so what do you think are the key factors expected to drive the Malaysian property market's trajectory over the next 6 to 12 months?
Yeah, I think, even though I mentioned a lot about ringgit, but if I look at it from the local market, local sentiment, the ringgit actually, the performance of ringgit actually don't really play a significant role. So the people who buy a property, local people who buy property, they look at the location, the age of building, the facilities, the affordability. So to them, it doesn't really matter whether the ringgit goes up or go down, right? Because it's not going to be a big factor. But if you talk about the next 6 to 12 months, few things that we see that can actually drive the trajectory is, number one, what are the government initiatives that the government is going to do? Like example, MM2H, right? How is it going to sustain, attract foreigners? We don't know yet. Whether the government is going to continue to have the exemption of the stamp duty, whether the government is going to stimulate the secondary market, whether the government is going to continue the real property gain tax, or implementation or ongoing of the project. So if you ask me, the budget, the upcoming budget will be something we really look forward to, and it'll be interesting, because that will also tell us where the next 6 to 12 months the government direction is going to hit. And the trend is that, if you mentioned that the trend, I think we also look in terms of like home ownership, because now the younger generation, they don't really like to own a property. To them, it's a commitment. It's a commitment. Gone are those days that we buy property as an investment. So to them, it's a commitment. So they like to. They will say that is it cheaper to own or to rent, right? And it comes to a factor that, is it buying a house? Yes, you can afford to buy a house, but can you afford to maintain a house? The cost of maintenance is another factor, because inflation comes in.
Yep.
cost of material comes in. So when you talk about maintaining of a property, your maintenance charges go up, your material go up, cost of repair go up, labor charges go up. So that is also another part that people are trying to cope with.
Right.
So that's how I look at it.
Right, understood. Mr. Tan, thank you very much for appearing on Money Matters. It has been a pleasure having you with us.
Thank you, Gavin. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. For the past half an hour, you've been with us on Money Matters. If you missed the earlier part of this episode, you can also catch it up on Tonton. I'm Zahir Kelvin Ong Abdullah. Thank you for watching and have a great weekend.